Hi guys, welcome back to yapanomics. We're gonna be talking about Arcane. In the interest of time, I've made a playlist of League of Legends champion themes. It's like 30 minutes long. Um, so hopefully this one doesn't go too long. We're gonna see. So we're gonna talk about Arcane 2. We've all seen it. We all know what happens. Ah, Tevin! Okay, there will be spoilers. We will be talking about adult themes. I think it only makes sense to do this because it's an adult show. We're not getting monetized, that's okay. I have a day job. We're gonna do our TLDR. We're gonna talk about my background, why I think I'm qualified to talk about League of Legends. We're gonna do some math for my ratings, and then we're gonna yap. And I'm gonna be a little bit sad about it. Alright, TLDR. Diversity win! Let's go lesbians! Let's go! Let's go! I think it was like a 7 out of 10 or like 8 out of 10. I don't really think it was like that great. I honestly did not like it as much as the first season. I think a lot of people have said that. We'll get into that. I think the show looks great. I think it's animated incredibly, especially like, in a world where we're constantly under fucking attack from Gen AI. It's just so nice to like consume media that respects the fucking craft and art and like and the talent and the skill and like the effort that these artists and animators and like musicians put in to like make something from the fucking soul. I really appreciate that. Cheers, bro. We're drinking. Cons. I didn't like the songs at all, though. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We're gonna complain about the male gaze in the context of both seasons 1 and 2. I hope this isn't canon to League of Legends. It isn't because like half the people are fucking dead. So like, you know, it's not. But like, yeah. They retconned Echo's color story with his birthday party, and that made me really mad. I was very upset about that. And I think my biggest flaw with Arcane 2 is that I did not pregame this. I did not prepare myself by rewatching Arcane 1 to go watch Arcane 2. I didn't really think that was like something I needed to do until I loaded into like the first until I started the first episode. I'm so fucking stupid. So I started the first episode and I was like, I don't know who that is. I don't know what just happened. All I remember was that like the council room blew up and then they were showing me a bunch of characters I was supposed to remember and like that was a struggle. So here's my background. Yeah, League is fine, you know, you only spend the last 11 years playing a fucking video game. It's okay, it's fine, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, you play it a little bit, time to time, whatever. I went to school to talk about English, specifically in stories and storytelling, so I can sound educated when I talk about plots. Hence the whole fucking reason yapanomics exists. And the reason we're talking about Arcane instead of literally anything else I said I would do is because it's literally impossible to emulate Trauma Center. And I just haven't played Final Fantasy VII, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Every time I like think I'm like about to do it, something else like comes up, or like, oh maybe I don't feel like doing it right now, or like, oh you know, a new Final Fantasy Raid 2 so I haven't done that yet. No, we'll get to it eventually. It'll happen. No ETA, that's fine. I'm not gonna force myself to play a video game. So my motivation to watch Arcane is very solidly like a 7 out of 10, like 8 out of 10. You know, I'm there Saturday morning or Saturday evening. I'm not watching this at Saturday 3 a.m. I'm putting it on at like 3 p.m., 8 p.m. Like, you know, I'm not staying up on a Friday to watch that shit. I wake up at 7 for work. I'm not doing that. Alright, here's my super serious and cool rankings. The plot was fine. It was very okay. It wasn't like bad. It was not good. Sorry, it's fine. It's like, right, that means it's good, but it's not like the greatest thing ever. I didn't walk away feeling like my life was changed. I didn't like really feel my life wasn't changed. I can appreciate it for what it is. The visuals, I mean, we don't really say anything. We watched the fucking show, the soundtrack. I got some shit to say about that. Then we got the wow factor, the vibes. It was an 8. I mean, it's fucking Arcane, guys. Like, it's not bad. I'm a doomer, so I make it sound bad. Here's my enjoyment per episode. You can really see how like they kind of like crest and peak with like their quote unquote like what do they call, like, chapters, aka a way that studios like to underpay artists. And then I was like calling them seasons, and then people got upset with me. It's like, it's the same shit, you know what I mean? So like chapter 1, that was fine. The entire time I kept saying bitches think they have so long to live. No, you don't. The Warwick is coming. The Warwick reveal was very cool. The way they like animated his entrance in the same style as like his champion rework teaser, that was very cool. I liked watching Singed counter jungle. I thought that was funny. Chapter 2, I'm gonna say that one was kind of like, that one had a lot of like quiet moments. There was nothing like super crazy happening in there. So I think it was like interesting because like obviously like the first chapter wanted to build upon like what happens like with the cliffhanger from Arcane 1, and the second chapter wanted to be like a decompress between like that and like the finale. As we can see, I was not a very big fan of the sex scene in the finale. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I liked the ending because it teased that we're going to Noxus and Demacia. That was cool. That's like lore that's been around for like how old is this fucking game? 15 years now. That's pretty cool. The plot, you know what happened. It's Arcane. It was fine. Like, listen, I've seen a lot of video game adaptations. We've all seen the Mario movie, the animated one. That was fine. But y'all haven't watched the live action one from like the 90s. That one wasn't as great. There's a lot of really weird like anime or fucking video game adaptations out there. You know, like Dota 2 Dragon King. That one was like pretty alright. There's the KOF anime. That one's pretty fucking cheeks. It has like a random like sexual assault scene in it for like 3 minutes long, and that was like really not cool. That was like really fucking bad. Everybody says I didn't like the pacing of Arcane 2. I think that's reasonable, but I think everybody has different opinions on how like much more content it should have gotten. I think now that I've had some time to sit with the fucking script, right, for Arcane, or for Yapanomics 3, now that I've had some time to sit with it, I think my biggest criticism of the pacing is that I think a lot of the plot wanted to be carried by fan fiction. And I don't mean that, like, they're expecting, like, fans to pick up the slack. I mean, like, when you, like, view these plot elements, I think you're expected to, like, view them from the lens that, like, you are going to, like, fill in, like, some gaps with, like, fanon or like fan interpretations, especially with like character relationships or like timelines. Timelines were a really big fucking problem, and yeah, but fucking jeez, I'm losing my mind. Timelines are a really big problem in Arcane 2. I didn't know when anything was for a very large part of the first half of season 2. I was really lost. I was like pretty confused. I kept like having to like ask my partner questions because we'd be watching and I'd be like, I don't know when this is, and he'd be like, well, I think that's the point. And yeah, that can be the point. But I could not tell if it was intentionally trying to skip around, or if it was supposed to be like I'm supposed to just automatically be able to infer when this is. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking stupid, right? I think the best use of this, though, is, like, the pit brawler scene. We've all fucking seen it, where, like, Vi, like, gets sad and then joins her local underground fight club. And they do a really good job, like, condensing, and we're gonna get to, this is, like, cutting into the soundtrack portion, but they do a really good job of, like, condensing, like, Vi being, like, sad, for a while. But I don't know how long a while is, but like, because, like, because we don't know how long it is, because Vi doesn't know how long it is, I think it's a really good job of like showing like how like her mental health is suffering, how she's like fucking losing it, and she's like going insane, and like she doesn't know how to like help herself, and I thought that was cool. I also don't know how long it's been between that part and when Caitlyn cast Zaun, because she just did that for some fucking reason. Like, listen, I know we're calling her Ku Klux Kiraman, I know we're making jokes about her being a dictator. I just didn't really expect her to actually turn into fucking Hitler. I feel like I'm fighting Hitler when I have to fight Caitlyn against Caitlyn in the bot lane, and she shoots me from 800 range, and I have to deal with that. It's just not as bad now because they nerfed First Strike, or the First Strike Caitlyn build specifically. But like, you know, when I said it was a good adaptation, some things I wasn't expecting. That's all I'm gonna say. The finale, the last line, that shit was not romantic, man. What did Vi say? She said, I'm the dirt under your fingernails? Ew! Wait, Like, you guys are lesbians. Ew, you're supposed to have like clean nails. The fuck? Sorry, that's like a really bad stereotype. That's not like romantic. That doesn't like leave me with like feelings of hope for the future. That doesn't make me like excited to see where like the future of like the arcane, like the League of Legends cinematic universe is going. I got more excited watching a bird fly next to a boat than I did like hearing that line. That was gross. That's like, yeah, and, like they could have ended on maybe the arcane was the friends we made along the way, and I would have been like, sure, dude, whatever. Because I think, Arcane is really not campy, right? But with a lot of video game adaptations, they do end up being extremely fucking campy, and I wouldn't have hated them for it. I would have said, are they fucking serious? But I wouldn't have been like grossed out. Right? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me being icked for no fucking reason. All right, visual. We know what this. Listen, the show looks fucking great. We know what it looks like. I think for me, a lot of like the scenes with Echo is really cool. The way that like they really wanted to like show that off. The shot that really stuck out to me, I don't think I got a proper screenshot of it, is when like Jace is chasing Victor and they're like running up, or they're going like up like the fucking thing, the hex gate, and he's like chasing him, and like they pull back like the camera a little, like pretty far, and then you can just kind of see that like, you know, Victor's flying because he's like fucking homophobe or fucking homosexual Jesus, and then like Jace is like using the cannon to like propel himself, and then we just like see like the lasers and like the flashing, and that was really cool. I really liked that, but it was also kind of like, oh shit, what's going on? Because like this is a Victor that none of us have seen before. First of all, we gotta get that boy a burger. This is a Victor we haven't seen before. It's got like, you know, hot Jace. I forgot to turn off my email notifications. It was very cool. The soundtrack. Oh my god, hold on, we need to pause the Yapanomics 3 soundtrack really quick. Listen, there are insert songs in Arcane. There's a lot of insert songs. I think sometimes people call them like, I don't fucking know, like a, I don't know, a character song, an image song. No, that's not, I don't know, insert songs. There's a lot. There's a fucking lot. There are at least, because that's how many there are on Google, but I swear to God there are more. I'm not going to go back and count because that's like 9 hours of TV show, and I have fucking video games to play instead of doing that. Rewatching something that I didn't really feel compelled to rewatch. It didn't change my life. There are 9 hours of TV show, and within each of these episodes there are 16 insert songs in total. That's like mathematically, that is at least like 2 songs an episode, and also that's not including Oh the Misery. The insert song, if you don't know, you see it a lot in like anime. You know, like when we're like, oh, we're losing the fight, what do we do? And then like fucking Goku appears and transforms, and it starts playing Kan 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 Kachidaze, right? Like that, and then you're like, oh my god, this shit's awesome. Like the insert song, it makes you feel shit. It makes you go, oh shit, like you gotta like lock in, like the word, like the song, the soundtrack has words in it. You gotta like, oh shit, so like something's happening. Insert songs are not just for like these heroic fight scenes though, right? They're for like, you know, Simon's speech, which is technically a fight scene, but then, you know, it's more of like the acceptance of loss and grief, and it's important. They're like in Brand New Animal, where like, fuck, what's her name? Oh my god, you know, I don't know, the Tanuki and like the fox girl Nazuna, I think, and they're like in the car and they're like listening to like the song that like defined their friendship, and like, but because they're like not talking to each other anymore, they're like reflecting on like, you know, how far they've grown apart, and like maybe is this something we can fix. They're in Xenoblade 3 and they ruined my fucking life. What a beautiful fucking video game. And the problem with Arcane 2 is that it's oversaturated, because there's so many fucking insert songs. And now here's what I'm gonna ask you. This is from the fucking Riot official YouTube channel, Arcane Season 2 official soundtrack visualizer playlist. Do you know, like, can you like you can like, you like think about the scene, right? But do you know what like any of like these scenes sound like? Okay, because I like just like looking at this, I can pick out a few. I know what the pit fight sounds like because that was a trailer. I know what Oh the Misery sounds like because we all fucking know what that sounds like. I kind of remember Sucker, but I mostly remember like the visuals more than like the audio. And also you're gonna remember Wasteland because that's the song that plays when Jinx goes to kill herself. Like, how many of these like do you actually remember? How many of these like these scenes stuck out to you on Virtue of like the audio, because the thing is that the audio is supposed to help it like stick. It's obviously not like the focal point of the scene. The focal point is like the characters like experiencing like a high or a low in like their plot and like their storyline. But like so many of these, like I just don't know. Like I'm looking at like the top one right there. I didn't know there was a song that played when like Warwick was like remembering like being a human. I didn't know there was like a song that played when fucking Jinx is like letting go of Vander's body. I didn't know there was a song that played when Victor ascended to be Jesus. Or I'm sorry, when I say songs, you know, I mean like a song with words. I mean like a song that they're trying to like get like onto like the Billboard charts with. Like it's just a fucking lot. Out of like the whole like series, I guess you call it now, like the most you're gonna remember is like you're gonna remember Oh the Misery. You're probably gonna remember like 21 Pilots Heimerdinger. You're gonna remember Jinx killing herself. You're gonna remember Jinx and Echo fighting on the bridge because that was insane. But you're not gonna remember all of these. And I think it's just like a little too much. And it honestly, it got to a point where it was ruining my investment in the show, because I'd I'd get into a scene, I'd like kind of get invested, and then suddenly there's like words, and it's like trying to be like avant-garde, not avant-garde, it's trying to be like high concept or whatever, and it just wasn't working for me. We've been doing a lot of yapping already, but we're gonna do some more. We're halfway through this fucking League of Legends place. We gotta get going. Sit down. I am going to teach you about the male gaze. We're gonna get into shipping discourse, unfortunately. Riot is scared of MLM. Riot wants women loving women. This is not a Riot issue. This is an industry issue, because this is how media works. Some of these things are a lot more marketable than others. We're gonna censor boobs. All right, here's the male. If you don't know, the male gaze is a term in feminism, and we're gonna be engaging with this a little bit on a surface level. But you know, I obviously wanted to have this be like, I want you to go walk away with this thinking about it. It's when things are framed to appeal to a quote-unquote male gaze. Like the most like obvious examples are like, you know, like any 2010s video games where women had big boobies and like nothing else. It's in Transformers Michael Bay, where they make Megan Fox lean over car engines and have those fucking shits hanging out even though she's 16. That was really fucked up. And then he blocked her from the industry. That was fucked up. Now the biggest way to detect the male gaze is, are the women, or are the people, or are the objects of appeal in the scene, are they performing for the other characters in the scene, or are they doing it for you? And they can obviously do both, but I think there's some nuance to this. And now, does the female gaze exist? Yes. Every time they made Jace shirtless, yeah, that I'm sorry, that was, listen. I mean, hey, if you're into it, right? Now, I'm not saying the female gaze, or I'm not saying that like misandry doesn't exist, because it does, but like specifically in the context of Arcane 2, in the context of animation, in the context of media in general, it's very often the other way around. Lollipoppy! Bless my Heimerdinger! In media, you don't really need to look that hard. Women loving women is so much more marketable than men loving men. The easiest way to like see this, fucking like in Overwatch, and they were roommates, you know, Arcane 2. Remember, easiest way, are they doing it for each other or doing it for you? And you can also look, the girls on the right, or the girls on the right are looking at each other, but the girls on the left are looking at you, and they're both doing the same thing, right? They're pushing their chests together, and it's meant to be like, you know, kind of erotic, but it's not. One of them's not for me, and one of them is for me as a viewer. Shirtless people jump scare. Okay, these are scenes from Arcane 1, the first season. The male gaze is not just for like romantic erotic scenes. Scenes can be like, let's say like quote unquote sexy without necessarily having that be the intent, you know, like when they make Jace like shirtless and like banging on metal in his forge for like 3 minutes. That, like, I'm pretty sure that was meant to be like a female gaze thing. He's like sweating and grunting and like working on shit and being like manly or whatever. And then like with Mbessa in the bath when Jace goes to like parlay with her. Listen, man, what the fuck is this camera angle? Yeah, it's a little. I'm not a prude, okay? I love women, I love men, I love bodies, But this just seems like a little over the top, don't you think? Like, it's a little silly, and it doesn't really match with like the tone of the scene. Well, I guess it kind of does. To show that like Mbessa's more like leisurely and like doesn't really like give a shit about it and doesn't like take it as seriously. But Jace is like fully clothed in that scene and is like, you know, like, oh dude, like what the fuck? Like we can't use Hex as war. And then she's like does not give a fuck, right? But did I really need to have the camera like be between her legs? Not really. Did I like it? I mean, yeah, but like, does it need to be like that? No. Let's compare and contrast. Arcane 1 has the sex scene between Mel and Jace. I remember like when we first watched this, it was like 2021, and all of us in the Discord call were like nervously laughing because like we didn't know how far it was gonna go because this was like not expected, right? Like them getting together is expected, but we didn't know how far like the scene itself was gonna go. And you are also forced to pay attention for this whole scene because it is interspersed with like crossing. So like while they're fucking, like, you know, it's being cut in with like other shots of like Victor dying and accidentally killing his lab assistant, right? So you have to watch the whole thing, and so it's like kind of like you're balancing like this level of like, oh, like they care about each other, but like, oh, like Victor's dying, and then you think about like, oh, but like Victor and Chase's relationship, oh, but like Chase is bagging a bad bitch, Mel's pretty bad, and it shifts the tone away from like something like sexual, like erotic, romantic, into like something that's a lot more stressful, because now you're watching this and you're on edge because you're like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen to Victor? What's gonna happen? Like, you know, like what is Jace gonna find out? Does Victor like know this is happening? And if you're a shipper, again, does Victor know / care if that's happening, right? And I think this scene is made with less male gaze, even though it is like in essence a sex scene, because it does focus a lot on like the reactions and the I don't know, like body language of both of the characters involved. I think and I had to go back and watch these, and I didn't really care for that too much, to be honest, because I felt like a fucking tool. It was Thanksgiving and I was in my room watching fucking animated characters having sex so I could make a PowerPoint about it. I think like they did take a lot of care to focus on like both of the characters' reactions, and they also didn't leave a lot to the imagination, even if they did like do like the quote-unquote tasteful censoring. You're seeing no nips, you're seeing no bits, but you're seeing enough to know what the hell's going on. So let's talk about the sex scene in the last episode of Arcane. It was bad. I didn't like it. It doesn't make sense like diegetically and narratively, and I think I'm gonna get eaten alive for saying this. But though in the context, like in the timeline of the plot, the last time we see this prison cell is when Jinx leaves it specifically so she can go and kill herself, and she's not subtle about going to go kill herself, okay? And Vi's in there, and Vi can fucking figure it out because Vi's not stupid. I'm assuming Vi figured it out, okay? And I'm gonna be upset if they tell me that like Vi doesn't like actively like know where it's going, because I think there's only so many ways you can interpret I'm breaking the cycle, right? I wrote Vi doesn't know this. Vi knows this. I don't know why I wrote that. So it doesn't make sense for them to like start fucking, because like if I'm Vi, I'm scared as fuck because gay yaoi Jesus is coming to kill us. Jace told us gay yaoi Jesus is coming to kill us. My sister's going to go kill herself. Like things are bad, and then like Mbessa's gonna come and like conquest. Like it's bad. And then suddenly my ex-girlfriend, quote unquote, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think those guys actually love each other. Fucking Caitlyn shows up and to let her out, and then they start like making out and like fucking each other. I don't really think like it just wait, okay, here's the thing, it can be like a one last ride, like, oh, we're gonna like, oh, we'll just have like, we gotta like seal the deal before like Victor and Mbessa come to kill us, like, sure, but like if that's the case, then why is the music so erotic? Like with Mel and Jace, right, you've got like some violins in the background. Oh my god, Jin, hi. You have some like violins in the background, and then like it like starts like romantic because it's like, you know, they're kissing, and then Jace is like surprised, but then like, he's like yeah, fuck it, let's do it, right? And then but then when it cuts to like to Sky and Victor in like the lab, and it's like you think like, oh, maybe they're gonna get together too, but then like but then Sky dies, and then you're like, oh shit, and then like Victor starts dying, and you're like, oh shit, and then like, you know, it gets like really tense, and then like you're listening to like this really like, you know, dissonant like violin where it's not romantic anymore, it's stressful, it's like I should be happy for one half of our heterosexual couples, but the other half, bad things are happening there. The track Fantastic, it's like all in French, you know, like a romantic language, pop romantic. It's got like, you know, like bouncing and like heavy drums, and it's like, again, romantic, erotic, sexual, but it's not the mood. It's just like, it's not fitting my concern as a viewer, because my concern as a viewer is I'm in here, I'm looking at Vi's freaking out because, like, I mean, Armageddon is coming and her sister's gonna go kill herself, but I'm listening to this song that's like, yeah, let's fuck. No, that's not what I want. From a visual perspective, and this is gonna tie back to what we're talking about, the male gaze from a visual perspective, this is so erotic. This is so much like meant for like me as a viewer and not meant for each other. Because so many of these shots, we know, like, logically, we know, like, diegetically, we know that, like, there's two people involved and they're fucking each other. Yay, consent! Yeah, that's the great part. That this scene had consent, is that Caitlyn was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna be honest, I was seeing somebody else, and the Vi's like, oh, I don't fucking care, alright? And then they're like, okay, and then, you know, they're obviously into each other, and that's, like, beautiful, but, like, I don't really feel like they're into each other. I feel like when Caitlyn's biting her lip and, like, taking off her shirt, I feel like she's doing that for me as a viewer. I don't feel like she's doing that for Vi. And I don't really think, like, these bitches actually love each other. I think they just like fucking each other because, listen, here's the thing. First of all, Big, okay, this means that you think, oh, sex or lesbians or, like, my favorite OTP is bad. No, I never said that. In fact, I don't ship any of these motherfuckers. The only thing I ship is these bitches dying and giving me 1,000 gold shutdown so I can go to base and buy my IE. All stories, in their most basic form, they have tension and payoff. You have a problem, you fix it, right? And this applies to relationships, and this applies to, like, character arcs and, like, interpersonal things. And I think one really good way we see this is with Victor and Jace, right? Because first of all, we get the Wham reveal that shows that, like, Victor was always going back in time to save Jace. In every, like, timeline, he was fucking up, blowing up the world, realizing that he fucked up, and then he would go back and he would try to save Jace. So we get that Wham reveal because when you go back to season 1, or fucking the first episode of Arcane, and Jace is, like, stranded in the mountains with his mom, and they get saved, and they give him the room, and that sets him forward. He's like, I need to go and learn more about magic. So he goes and learns about magic, he meets Victor, their paths are together, they are in alignment, they have different motivations. Like, Jace wants to do this because he wants to pay for it to save her, Victor wants to do this because he doesn't want to fucking die. Reasonable, right? And, like, they're together, they're researching, but then, like, they split apart because, like, you know, the war and, like, Mel and, like, what can we do with technology? Is it meant for, like, you know, progress, or is it meant for, like, you know, war? And, like, they split apart, and then they start, like, coming into conflict with each other, and they realize, you know, the solution is that they save the world from the arcane together. But don't worry, guys, Riot said it's not romantic. And that was my biggest problem with Caitlyn and Vi, was that I didn't really feel like we got enough of, like, those, like, quiet character moments between them to make me really feel like that these two as characters were invested in each other. And then going back to what I said, like, 20 minutes ago about, like, how Riot wants, like, Fanon to carry our interpretations of the plot. Because when I think about this, and I could totally be wrong here, and you can tell me I'm wrong, because I probably am. When I think about this, I think about, like, the scenes, like, when they're, like, on the bed together in Arcane 1, and they lie down, and then Vi starts to open up to, like, Caitlyn, and she's like, me and my sister used to share a bed like this, and we would, like, you know, lie down together like this, and that shows her, like, forming, like, you know, this, like, really, like, close connection with Caitlyn. Like, she's opening up, she's, like, sharing things about, like, her childhood, she's talking about things that she wouldn't talk about with other people, because obviously, like, at that moment in time, Vi thinks her sister is dead, so bringing her up is, like, a very big deal. It's like, I trust you with this information, I trust you, like, that I can be, like, safe and vulnerable around you, and we don't really get a lot of those moments, right? Because then after that, right, we get, like, in season 1, or season 2, episode 1, when, like, Caitlyn starts, like, crying because she lost her mom, so then, like, Vi goes to hug her, and it's, like, that vulnerability, but it's not between them. And we don't get a lot of those moments, like, between them. This song is lighter. We don't get a lot of those moments, like, between them, because that gets, like, interrupted by her dad. Her dad's like, oh, classism, I hate the poors, you need to leave. Right? And that's, like, one thing, but then, like, and we get, like, the kiss at, like, the end of that episode, or at the end of, like, that chapter, these fucking words, at the end of that chapter, and, like, after they gas the pores, and then, like, Caitlyn and, like, Vi are, like, talking to each other, and they're, like, scared, and then Vi's like, oh, I don't know, like, if we can, like, take out my sister, and then, like, they kiss, and, like, that's supposed to be, like, a really big payoff, right? that's supposed to be the big payoff, is that like, oh wow, like this like tension and like relationship has been like building up between each other, and like they're finally able to like, you know, bear their feelings and be honest with each other, because that's usually what like that first kiss in a lot of media represents, is honesty, it's vulnerability, it's like we can accept that we love each other, and I think that's really important. But the problem is I didn't feel like there was enough of like that like stuff like going like leading into it, right? So at that first kiss, sure, and then they go, and then Caitlyn attempts to shoot a literal child, and then like Vi's not okay with that, obviously, because Vi's like, Caitlyn, you can't shoot a child. But then like later in the season, when we fast forward, I like there, Noxus is attacking Victor's commune, and like they're like okay with it, like they meet up, they like, they're like talk about the plan, they're like clearly working together towards Ambessa, even if they don't love I don't know if they're like supposed to like love each other again at that point or not, right? So I was like, oh, maybe they're gonna like mend their relationship. But the thing is, like, the mending their relationship is them fighting Ambessa, and then immediately after that, their only moment, like just the two of them after that, is them fucking. And I didn't really feel like there was payoff for that. I didn't really feel like there was any tension that was like built up to reward us with that payoff, right? I mean, I included all these things because first of all, I wanted representation. I forced myself to watch The Last of Us because I sat here and I realized, going back again, men loving men is not as marketable as women loving women. I realized there was not a lot of fucking representation for men loving us. So I forced myself to watch HBO Last of Us, which was like a really stupid idea because, first of all, I have a fear of both zombies and mushrooms. So I went and watched the show about specifically the zombie mushrooms. A really smart idea, right? Yeah, I was scared. Yeah, I liked it. I liked that episode. I thought it was nice because we got like the tension and the payoff. We got the tension of like Frank thinking that Bill's gonna kill him. We got like the fucking 60 hours of tension in Final Fantasy 16 of like Clive and Jill not being coy about like wanting to be with each other, but dealing with so much other shit that like when they finally do get that time alone between each other, the payoff is them like being able to be vulnerable and say, I love you, I want to like change the world, but I also want to like protect you while I do it. Fucking Catradora. All women-loving media wishes they were fucking Catradora, okay? I'm not gonna talk too much about this, but when this show ended, I sat motionless in my chair at 4 a.m. for an hour, and I could not do anything except sit there and cry and like process my feelings, and Caitlyn and Vi did not make me feel that way. I'm not saying they had to, but I think the plot wanted me to feel that way, and I just didn't. And honestly, every time I think about She-Ra and the Princess of Power, I get emotional, and it's crazy because I didn't think I liked the show to that level. But then I had to like think about like the show a lot when I was making Yapanomics 3, and I was like, oh my god, that shit was gas. like 5 seasons worth of build-up for one like final like I love you. That changed my life. And again, like, I think Raya wanted me to just, like, fill in the gaps and assume that that's how Caitlyn and Vi felt about each other, but I didn't really think they liked each other that much. I think most of their moments were just, like, angst and steam, and not actually, like, fluff and romance and, like, vulnerability and all that other stuff that you get in, like, other relationships. Not just lesbians, but, like, men loving men and, like, heterosexuality, or, like, I guess if you're a robot fucker, if you're into that. I don't know. There's probably some robot fucker media like that. There are cool and epic Kate Vi moments. I talked about the bed. I forgot I made this live. I talked about the bed. I really liked how their tension was built up in season 1, but the problem is that I think season 2 just had too many payoffs and not actually like building more of that tension. Because if I have to watch 9 episodes of this shit, I want more like shit going on. I don't want like, I don't want to just like get rewarded for doing nothing. And that's kind of how it felt like. Inclusivity in video games. This is something that's been talked about a lot, and I think it's something that's important to continue talking about. I think, again, men loving men is not as marketable as women loving women. I don't know for wherever the reason. I have to assume part of it's like misogynism. I have to assume part of it is like how if you're like, if you're a gamer, it's assumed that you're a man, and it assumes you like women because it's like, oh, 2 women for the price of 1 image. And I think like Overwatch is like really guilty of this, right? Where like Emily and Tracer got like revealed / announced in like a whole comic with like visual, but then like Soldier 76 being gay was not like to confirm a ship or anything. It was to like release a PDF after they revoked all of Blitzchung's trophies for saying "Free Hong Kong, glory to our people." It was to release a PDF fanfiction saying Jack used to have like a partner. I don't give a shit about that. I'm not reading that. No, what I gave a shit about at the time was I read about Blitzchung. I uninstalled Overwatch. It was like that was not fixing the problem, okay? And I think Riot's also guilty of this when we think about like their Pride Month like stories and like skins, right? And I think Riot's definitely better about this. And I know that at the end of the day, you have to make your inclusivity, especially if you're an international company, you have to make your inclusivity quote unquote safe for all the markets because that's how capitalism works. Do I like this? No. Am I going to defend it? No. Do I get it? Yes. It doesn't mean that these companies aren't fucking trying, because they are. I think it's these two things can coexist. You can want your companies to try harder, but you also need to respect that they are fucking trying at all, because even today a lot of people aren't fucking trying, and they are, right? But like, and I think about like, you know how like in the Pride Month story where like Leona and Diana like kiss, they go to prom together in like fucking, I don't know, like Targan Sun School, versus like Graves and TF like go like mend their relationship, they go on a heist and then they like play with each other's hair and then say we're just partners, and like sure dude, whatever. When we think about international markets, I heard that like China Arcane was like very weirdly edited, and I'm not editing these things out because I got it from Twitter, and I'm not going through the trouble of downloading a video so I can take out a screenshot to take out the fucking slider. I don't care that much. I heard a theory that said that like the reason these shots are constructed as so awkwardly as they are is so that like the audiences overseas can like, you know, pirate it and like go online and be like, oh, this is what it's actually supposed to look like. Here's the thing, I think we need to stop assuming that overseas audiences are stupid. There are LGBTQ people all around the world. Just because the government says that you're not allowed to legally be gay does not mean that gay people don't exist. I think there are going to be people who look at Arcane 2 in China and Russia and like Saudi Arabia and like all the other locations that these things are banned or restricted. They're gonna look at these things and they're gonna be like, yeah, they're probably meant to be fucking or cuddling here. Like, we're not stupid, and you don't have to be gay or like trans or like bi or like queer to understand that. You just need to look at the shot and you're like, yeah, these bitches are supposed to be gay, even if they're not kissing in front of me. I have eyes. And we need to stop infantilizing, as Western audiences, we need to stop infantilizing our overseas fellow media consumers and assuming that they don't get it, because they do. And I'm tired of pretending like, not related, but I'm tired of every time people want to complain about Genshin, like representation in like skin tones and people of color. I'm tired of people saying it's China's fault, because Chinese audiences are also calling out MiHoYo and saying, this is like your fucking Genshin Fantasy India and you don't have brown people. Like you don't, we need to stop assuming that like these people like overseas like are also as upset about it. Are they less upset? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not on Chinese Twitter. I'm not on fucking Weibo. I'm not on QQ. Oh shit, the League of Legends stopped. Loop the playlist. I'm not like part of like these online communities, but like I'm not stupid. We need to stop assuming that they're stupid too. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just frustrated with that sort of thing. But I think that's mainly like what I had to say, is that I just think like Arcane 2 is very solidly okay. Should there have been more content to it? Yes. Should there have been like more to like the characterization? Yeah, maybe like an episode or two. This isn't me to say, I just want to say, this isn't me complaining and saying that Echo got too much screen time, right? Because I know some people didn't like that he got like his whole like alternate timeline episode to himself. Listen, man, don't shit on Echo. He put on the performance of a lifetime. He gave up the perfect timeline. He gave up the girl, and he lost her forever. And Caitlyn got to be a dictator and literally gassed the pores using her mother's ventilation system design because her mother believed in human rights and ethics. And Caitlyn still got the girl who said, "I'm the dirt under your fingernails." I just didn't. I didn't really think the characterization was as good in season 2 as it was in season 1. It could have been better. Also, here's my reaction because people told me Jin appeared. That's not Jin, that's John. Alright, that's Yapanomics 3. I think we stayed within our time limit. Next time, maybe Final Fantasy 7, unless if I lie and decide to play something else. Goodbye.